as I speak right now, Cassie Ventura has taken the stand. Now, unfortunately, in this case, in a federal case, there are no cameras in the courtroom. There is no audio in the courtroom. But we are going to do our best to report to you in real time what is happening with her testimony and analyzing her testimony in real time.
It's looking like game over for Diddy as Cassie takes the stand and reveals a decade of chilling abuse, secret blackmail tapes, and a twisted web of trafficking that could land the music mogul behind bars for life. The trial of Diddy has reached a pivotal moment with Cassie Ventura, victim number one, finally taking the stand. This development marks a crucial turning point in a legal battle that has gripped public attention since its inception. And while the absence of cameras or audio inside the courtroom limits direct access, the unfolding events are being reported in real time. Cassandra, now nearly 9 months pregnant at 38 years old, began her testimony with a recount of her decade-long relationship with Sean Combs. A relationship defined by a significant age gap and a disturbing power imbalance. According to her account, Combs exposed her to various including orchestrated encounters known as freak-offs, where escorts were hired to perform in front of him. These situations, she revealed, became routine and transactional, stripping her of agency and solidifying his control over her life. The prosecution presented this testimony to support their claims of by force, fraud, or coercion, along with a suite of other charges such as conspiracy and obstruction.
All right, coming back here to New York City, witnesses are back on the stand in Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial. This morning, the rap mogul's defense team cross-examined a male escort who testified yesterday in graphic detail about several violent and sexually explicit encounters with Combs and his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Cassandra painted a harrowing picture of life under Combs' influence, recounting physical violence that left her with bruises and black eyes, psychological abuse where she was told to watch her mouth and change her face, and the ever-looming threat of blackmail through explicit videos allegedly filmed by Combs. These videos were, in her words, tools he could wield to ruin her reputation and career if she ever considered leaving or refusing his demands. This paints a dynamic less about mutual consent and more about domination and manipulation. The video of her being attacked in a hallway in 2016, confirmed to have occurred after one such freak-off, becomes a cornerstone in the prosecution's narrative. It is this video that publicly shifted sentiment when it was released, elevating the lawsuit she filed in 2023 from hearsay to horror in the eyes of many observers.
How would you describe Cassie's demeanor when she took the stand today?
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs.
What was Sean's reaction when he saw Cassie enter the courtroom?
You know, attorneys say that this is the first time that they've met since 2018 when she attended the funeral for Kim Porter, which is the mother of Sean Combs' 3 children.
While the prosecution aims to depict Cassandra as a manipulated victim entangled in a coercive relationship, the defense counters by suggesting her actions were voluntary, even complicit, arguing that she willingly participated and possibly benefited from the relationship. They point to her participation in the sexual encounters, her communication with hired dancers, and the long duration of the relationship as evidence of consent. This framing seeks to undercut the idea that everything was against her will. But as legal analyst Rich Schauenstein points out, consent in the shadow of such an extreme power imbalance is far from straightforward. The jury does not need to believe that every moment was coerced, only that the overarching structure of control constituted and abuse. Adding complexity is the testimony of a male performer previously hired by Combs and Ventura, who described being paid to have with Cassandra while Combs watched and directed the encounter. Though he testified to hearing slaps and seeing disturbing behavior, the fact that he remained in communication with Cassandra and continued participating muddies the waters. It becomes a game of parsing intent, influence, and intimidation. The defense has a tightrope to walk, acknowledging Combs' volatile behavior without allowing it to rise to the level of federal crime. Questions from the public reflect this ambiguity, with one viewer asking whether this is truly coercion or if Cassandra had some autonomy. Others wonder whether more damning evidence is yet to come or whether Cassandra's testimony is the prosecution's strongest play. Legal analysts speculate that the decision to have her testify early in the trial was strategic, not only due to her pregnancy, but to ground the narrative in a first-person account supported by visual evidence and secondary testimonies. With other victims scheduled to testify, the prosecution hopes to show a consistent pattern that elevates the charges from isolated abuse to organized crime. The prosecution faces two key hurdles: convincing the jury that what happened to Cassandra was not just domestic violence, but criminal enterprise, and proving that Combs didn't act alone. Charges require multiple participants agreeing to commit illegal acts, yet many of the alleged facilitators, assistants, bodyguards, staff haven't been charged. This creates a thin line between incrimination and implication. The argument hinges on whether this was an entertainment mogul with problematic habits or a ringleader of an exploitative network.
We're talking now about a 38-year-old woman who is married and the mother of 2 children, and she is 8 months pregnant, expecting her 3rd child.
As her testimony continues, Cassandra describes how Combs would send assistants or security to track her down if she disappeared or upset him. She named individuals like David James and Christina Kororum, suggesting they played roles in maintaining Combs' control. Their eventual testimony could either corroborate or contradict her claims, and their inclusion points to a broader infrastructure around Combs that may be essential in proving the RICO element of the case. Even if these individuals are not criminally charged, their acknowledgement of involvement, willing or otherwise, may satisfy the legal requirement of a coordinated conspiracy. Another wrinkle is the nature of Cassandra's 2023 lawsuit, which was settled almost immediately after filing. That rapid settlement raised eyebrows, with speculation that Combs acted quickly to avoid discovery or a public trial. Though civil settlements usually include a general release preventing future lawsuits over the same incidents, her cooperation with the federal prosecution now brings renewed focus to those same events. Viewers are questioning the ethics and implications of settling out of court while maintaining innocence. If he had nothing to hide, why settle so swiftly? The courtroom exchanges further complicate the narrative. Ventura admits there were moments of fun and affection early in the relationship and acknowledges that being with Combs boosted her career prospects and social connections. This duality, gratitude and fear, privilege and trauma, may make her a more credible witness, as it reflects the reality of many abusive relationships, where affection and control often coexist. For the prosecution, these concessions help reinforce her overall believability, while the defense may try to weaponize them as evidence of mutual benefit and consent. Legal observers continue to stress the weight of the 2016 video in shaping public and jury perception. It visually encapsulates the danger of defiance in their relationship and acts as a potent symbol of coercion in action. Meanwhile, the charges of transporting for seem the most concrete and likely to stick, with lesser sentences than or but still significant consequences. If convicted solely on that count, Combs could potentially serve a shorter term with options for early release, a scenario the defense may already be angling for as a partial victory.
She sat down, as you point out, in the witness box, and she testified that she met Sean Combs when she was 19. That's when she signed a record deal with him with Bad Boy Records. And then she says, and when she was 22 years old, the sexual relationship began, and it was tumultuous. She was asked by the attorney, did you have arguments? Ventura, yes, they were violent arguments, usually resulted in physical abuse and dragging different things. He would mash my head, knock me over, drag me.
As Cassandra continues detailing her experiences, she underscores how Combs' behavior took a mental and physical toll. She describes zoning out during episodes of violence, losing awareness until pain jolted her back to reality. She recounts being silenced with commands to alter her demeanor, knowing that disobedience might trigger another eruption. Her words aim to show not just physical domination, but a systematic breakdown of her autonomy, a slow erosion of will shaped by fear and dependency. The broader question looms: can a romantic relationship laced with gifts, travel, and professional favors still be classified as trafficking if the power dynamic is inherently abusive? The case sits at the crossroads of evolving legal standards around exploitation. Some analysts argue it's a novel but necessary application of laws to account for manipulative relationships that straddle the line between personal and criminal. Others worry about overreach, suggesting that blurring the line between toxic relationships and federal crimes sets a precarious precedent. Still, the fact remains that multiple women have come forward with similar allegations, and the prosecution appears prepared to lean on their collective stories. The court will have to decide whether these stories are variations of a consistent pattern or isolated incidents interpreted through the lens of a high-profile defendant. Whether or not these individuals testify as officially designated victims, their perspectives could influence the outcome. Ultimately, the prosecution's challenge lies in threading these testimonies into a coherent tapestry of evidence that not only outlines abuse but proves conspiracy. As Cassie Ventura's testimony launches, her relationship with Sean Combs, though publicly branded as romantic and artistic partnership, is being unmasked in the courtroom as a meticulously managed system designed to benefit him while keeping her subdued and dependent. Prosecutors pressed her on how she was monitored, to which she replied that Combs would send security or trusted aides to find her, often without warning or consent. Naming names like David James and Christina Kororum adds a chilling sense of structure to the alleged enterprise, giving weight to the prosecution's RICO claim. These were not random acts of violence or spontaneous flings with escorts. They were recurring patterns, organized and facilitated by an inner circle, rooted in fear, manipulation, and transactional control. The court then delved into the emotional and psychological aftermath of the abuse. Ventura spoke of zoning out during beatings, of the momentary blackouts that came with trauma, and of the verbal reminders to watch her mouth or change her face, to avoid escalating his fury. These phrases weren't just barked orders, they were commands grounded in domination, stripping her of the ability to express displeasure, assert boundaries, or even show emotion. This testimony supports the prosecution's angle that this was not merely a relationship gone bad, but one that existed within a framework of control and silence. A framework that might be criminal if proven to be part of an enterprise.
The attorney, were you ever injured? Ventura, yes. Usually I would get knocks on my forehead, black eyes, red eyes, bruises all over my body. It just depended. And she talked about that at 22. That's when Sean Combs introduced the idea of sex parties, and that she said she went along with it. She said, my stomach churned at first. I didn't have a concept of how that would be. I was confused, nervous, but also loved him very much and wanted to make him happy.
The courtroom also addressed the issue of whether Ventura and Combs had an exclusive relationship, to which she replied, no, even though she initially believed otherwise. Combs, she said, openly saw other women while she was expected to remain loyal. When asked about his behavior during this period, she recalled him saying, I am Puff Daddy, as though that alone justified his conduct. He was, in her words, insanely jealous, yet it was he who exercised the freedom to see others. That kind of hypocrisy, paired with his mood swings and surveillance tactics, paints the portrait of a man determined to possess her while doing as he pleased. Her recollection of being moved to Los Angeles because he wanted to be closer to his children showed how even large life decisions were made unilaterally, with her merely expected to follow. Interestingly, the defense did not attempt to present Combs as innocent of all wrongdoing. Instead, their strategy has been to concede certain facts. Yes, he was violent. Yes, he was jealous, and redirect the conversation toward the legal definitions of the charges. Their goal seems to be to acknowledge enough to appear honest while pushing the narrative away from racketeering and trafficking. They hope the jury distinguishes between morally offensive behavior and criminal enterprise. But for the prosecution, every blow, every threat, every instance of surveillance or coerced sex is another brick in the wall they're building to show this wasn't isolated misconduct, but a system. Questions also emerged around the lack of testimony from male victims, despite several lawsuits being filed. As the court prepares for the next witnesses and the continuation of her testimony, it's clear that the stakes have never been higher. For Cassandra Ventura, this is a moment of public reckoning, a chance to reclaim her story. For Sean Combs, it's a fight for his freedom and legacy. And for the legal system, it's a test of how far it can stretch to account for abuse that lives in the space between private violence and public crime. Whether the jury sees this as a tale of coercion or of complicity will determine the outcome and the future of everyone involved.